Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome back to another Evil Genius 2 discussion. World Domination's coming out later this year, and the wheels, the PR wheels are turning now, right? We had a little bit of silence from Rebellion, but they've definitely sort of gone full swing now with some new info. So we had the gameplay trailer the other day that we did cover here on the channel. I'll put a link to that up in the top there or in the description if you missed it. But then also there was a little bit of extra information from the head of Rebellion about James Hannigan returning to do the audio. Or the music at least, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But then during the Guerrilla Collective, which was like an online indie convention, I guess, over the last weekend, they had this dev diary that we're going to talk about here. Now, unfortunately, the Guerrilla Collective, it was a really great thing, but they really struggled technically during this stream and all the other games. It was like a part of a 2-hour stream, and it was dropping, and they started again, and it wasn't great, but luckily Rebellion have uploaded this dev diary as a video on demand on their own channel. Again, I'll put a link in the description to the full thing. It's about 18 minutes long, and you can watch it all there. I'm just going to be picking up on little bits they mentioned all the way through that, as a veteran Evil Genius player, excited me, and hopefully they excite you as well. Shall we jump in? So Astrogay and Rich Edwards were the two chaps who talked us through it. There they were. It was them two set up with Maximilian. It was like the weirdest Zoom call I've ever been in, but it was fantastic. They're working from home, obviously, but still doing a fantastic job, and they spoke all about the game. First things they did mention is the evil geniuses themselves. Evil genius. I do this every time I say it. Anyway, so Maximilian does return as the main guy. He's the one here. He's the one who looks like Blofeld, basically. If you know Blofeld from the Bond movies, or like Dr. Evil, I guess, from Austin Powers, all very much a pastiche of that original sort of character with the guy stroking the cat. Oh, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Okay, that's Blofeld, right? And then also, he's the only returning character from the original, the only returning genius, that is. They've also now completely, fully announced that this is Red Ivan, the guy in the red here. Now, Red Ivan was a henchman in the original game. We'll talk about henchmen more later on, but he was a henchman in the original game, so he's been leveled up. So he was a general and has gone to a colonel. I don't know, army ranks. He's got an extra stripe or an extra star or whatever it is. So he's playing as a genius now. The other two, they still haven't told us who these are, okay? But we've got two female geniuses as well, which is fantastic. Somebody on the Reddit for Evil Genius, which is well worth checking out for a lot of this sort of stuff, said that it kind of looks like all four of these are fitting into a little bit. Red Ivan's very military, Maximilian very much is all about the money, Money can make people talk, money can make people do what you like. This end lady here is obviously very science focused with her goggles and her helmet and all this. And then the second lady, she kind of looks a bit sort of political, maybe, she's got a bit of dirt on some people. And I think that's a really great way of looking at it. Maybe they are sort of focused that way. The other thing that they've mentioned with the geniuses is that the weapons of destruction, the big weapon that you're building, it is set to the genius. So there's going to be 4 of them, and each genius is going to have their own weapon that you build. In the original game, there was 3 weapons you could choose from, and you kind of just picked it based on one of the quests that you did. But here, each genius is going to have their own world domination weapon that you're aiming towards the end of the game, basically. The next thing they talked about was the island, or should I say islands, plural, because there is a random number of islands. I believe they're procedural. Let me see, have I written that down right? I don't know whether they're procedural, but there's definitely multiple ones to choose from, okay? And based on where how you choose them, not only does it affect the actual island layout, and I assume things like the hard rock that you can't build through, like in the original game, I imagine that's going to be placed differently, but also it's going to have an effect on where it is on the world map. So in this game, your island is actually going to be shown on the world map. It never was in the first one. You just kind of flew in from the edges. They were flat earthers in the original game. You just kind of flew in from the edge of the map and appeared. Whereas this one, your island is actually going to have a physical space on the map, and where that space is going to affect how you deal with the world powers, how your sort of considered by the other factions, which I think is a really nice idea, and I'm definitely interested in seeing how that develops. But you are going to be able to choose how your island looks and therefore how it plays a little as well. And then here they also talk a bit more about the cover operation that again we'll see in a moment, the casino there. And again, we spoke about this the other day, how it's going to be the front of the building. You're going to have to work your way through the casino before you get into the evil lair. Again, exactly kind of how you would expect it to be from the old Bond movies, you know. Don't go behind that. There's that one door with the bookcase, or you know, don't go behind there type thing. So really excited to see that play out, and the casino to be more of an integral part of the build, an integral part of the game, as more of this sort of ancillary thing that it was in the first one. So the idea here is that you can pick a different genius, and each of your geniuses play differently. You can pick a different island, and each of the islands play slightly difficulty differently, and there's also going to be a difficulty level as well. So those three things are going to give you a fair bit of replayability, hopefully, that you can go back and try again. They did confirm that it is just one island this time. In the first game, you kind of weirdly moved to a second island, and it always felt a little bit weird. It was like the first island was just like a tutorial, and then you moved to a second island, but never a third or fourth. Always felt it a bit weird that there was just those two islands. But here, one island from start to finish. You're going to build up this base at multiple levels as well. Next thing they showed us was a few clips of stuff being built, and they gave us a name for this weird gun thing. They called it the Lair Builder 5000, and this is basically how your minions do a lot of stuff. They're going to be able to remove rock using this thing. They're going to be able to pick up items, place down items, even pick up people and place down people, and it's just going to be how they get stuff around, how they move stuff around. I'm not too sure. I'm sure it's fine. Like, I don't really care that much, but there was something about the first game where they would go and take the money in a silver briefcase, you know, and come back with a box and place the box down and open it up, and out pops the pea. There was something quite charming about that, although it did take an incredibly long amount of time for anything to happen. So if this gun thing means that stuff happens quicker, then I'm totally down for it. Talking about the minions that are going to wield these guns, they have confirmed that the look of them is completely random, so they'll have features, skin tone, gender is all going to be randomized for all of them, and obviously their name as well. But they've also said, this is really interesting, that they're going to have personalities as well. So in the original game, they were very much drones, you know, typical sort of jumpsuit minions from the James Bond movies. That, you know, the guy in Austin Powers who stands there and gets ran over by the steamroller, you know, very much those sorts of people. And they did have things that they needed to deal with, but it was very much sort of basic living conditions. It was tiredness, food. I think one of them was like attention span, that kind of thing. Whereas in this one, they're going to have personalities. You might have somebody who's greedy and takes a little bit longer to eat their meal or something. You're going to have ones who are impatient and run around and get things done quicker. You're going to have ones that are former members of justice for the Justice League, or whatever they were called, the Axis of Justice or whatever they were. They're basically the good guys who you're against. Former people who work for them who've come over to your side, and therefore they're going to be able to spot spies easier and things like that. Again, really excited, new mechanic, really excited to see how that plays out. As far as training goes, they've nothing seems to be crazy different here from the original. They still have the 3 trees, they've got science, they've got they call them science, muscle and deception, but again the same sort of 3 trees from the first one. So you've got all the scientists, the biologists, the rocket scientists in one, and then in the middle you've got the guards that go on to things like Hitman that you can see here, snipers, that kind of thing. And then the third one was like the entertainment one, the valets and things like that. First look at the valet here. He looks fantastic with his a grenade in the jelly there. I think that's fantastic. That's really cool. First ones of those we've seen in like a purple outfit. So these are the ones that really run the front of house. They're going to be looking after your casino and all that sort of stuff, keeping people away from the base basically. But then also later on they're going to be leveling up into things like spin doctors again, just like the original one. As far as henchmen are concerned, we get to see a new henchman here, or a henchwoman, or a hench thing, I guess. It looks like a robot, a female robot air hostess? I don't know. She looks awesome. That's a really great character design. In fact, can I just say, this art style is incredible. All this character design, I don't know whether this is just like concept art, It kind of looks like it because there are a few slightly different styles here. You know, if you look at Eli there compared to the two women, it is a slightly different art style. So I'm assuming this is concept art that they've made these nice graphics to show us today. Or, you know, maybe we see some of this sort of stuff in menus or that kind of stuff. I think they look fantastic. So we still don't know who the two front ones there. They're going to be revealed later date. Eli Barracuda that we saw in the last video, Junior. So I'm guessing it's Eli's son now is part of the operation. Again, they confirmed something we spoke about the other day, that all the henchmen are going to be crime lords out on the map, and you are going to have to convince to join you. Whether that convincing is payment or sort of putting the boot in until they do as they're told, we don't know yet. It's probably different for all of them, and that's quite exciting to see. Some of the original ones had really good missions where you had to send maybe some valets to kind of sweet talk them, and then other ones they just needed straight up guards to go in and rough them up. So it's exciting to see the different options there. As far as the original 4 henchmen we saw now, we know that one's Eli Barracuda Jr., and we've seen the sort of renegade pilot there. The other two, somebody commented on my last video that they're not new ones, they're Colonel Blackheart and the great Mesmero from the first game, but I purposefully went back and checked because before I saw that comment, because I did slightly recognise them, but I thought that if it's Colonel Blackheart, then he's grew a leg. And if it's the Great Mesmero, then I want to know what diet he's gone on, because he was a really large guy in the original one. But they have confirmed that they're not returning, or they haven't actually confirmed they're not returning. They have confirmed that Jubei is returning, and obviously we've got Eli Jr. So they haven't mentioned any of the other ones. I would love to see them. I used to love the matron. I thought the matron was fantastic. I'd love to see her again. But otherwise, I'm really excited to see new ones, and also from I often have my sort of PR / influencer head on. New Henchmen is going to be great content leading up to release. You know, each week they can do like a deep dive into one of the new henchmen, and that's, you know, it's easy PR for them basically. So I'd be really surprised if we see a lot of the old ones return. I think we're going to have a couple as fan service like Eli and Jubei, but for the most part I think they're going to go new. And also, you know, it's a new dev team. They've got their own ideas. They want to show off their new stuff as well. So excited to see who the new ones are going to be. They showed some of the Forces of Justice. Again, these all look new. So there was 5 Forces of Justice, I think, in the original game. Oh, sort of 5, you know, super spies that came. There was, I think, John Steele was like the James Bond one, and there was 4 others. I really can't remember them now. I should have written them down, but I don't recognise any of these. These all look new, which is quite cool. There's like a Captain America / Dick Tracy in the middle. Excuse me. There's like a Captain America / Dick Tracy dude in the middle there. Looks pretty cool. And there's that luchador at the back there that we saw in the trailer, and we assumed was a henchman, but he's not. He's a good guy, which is good. Then we've got like a female Red Ivan. That awesome sort of Indiana Jones / spy type lady there, who was in the original cinematic trailer. Yeah, really excited to see all these. They always, in the original game, they were full of character, and I'm sure they're going to be here as well. Looking at this concept art, there's a lot of character going on here. And that's about it. They talked a lot about things like traps and you know, people visiting the island and going out and doing acts of infamy, but there was nothing really new there. So if you've played the first game, a lot of it is more of the same. I was really sort of pointing out new features there that they've mentioned. Again, any Evil Genius 2 news we're going to be covering here on the channel. Evil Genius really was one of my favourite games of all time, and the more I see of this new one from Rebellion, the more excited I get, because it really does look like they are not only keeping you know, a great sort of homage to the original, but they're also trying some new stuff and really bringing it into the modern world. And again, like I said before, James Hannigan there returning the most incredible score. One of the menu songs in the original game, it's only like 45 seconds long, but I use it on all these Evil Genius videos. You'll hear it. It's the one that goes boom, 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 boom. Oh man, it is my jam. Like honestly, if I'm just sitting down, like the TV's off or whatever, and I'm reading the book, in my head, that's all I hear, honestly. Ever since I was a kid, that song is just on constant. There's a little monkey with a grinder there. But they played one of their new songs as well. It's called From Max with Love, which is fantastic. Great reference, and it's really great. Again, the typical sort of Connery Bond style song. utterly fantastic. Can't wait to hear more. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next one, be good.